Good evening, Jedi Knights and Sith Lords, and welcome to the Star Wars Artifacts show. My name is Dominic, and as usual, I'm with my buddy and co-host Eric Smart. Hello, my friend. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm still on the high after our previous show on Tuesday, on which we reviewed in details uh, all the essentials and the big announcement from Star Wars Celebration in Europe. We had fun with our guest Seb. Uh, yeah, it was a pretty cool evening, and now we have not one but two episodes to talk about because
Yeah.
last week, as you probably remember, guys, Eric was in a power outage that struck the majority of the province of Quebec.
Yeah.
More than
Over a
1
million
million
people. Yeah.
people. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Were out of electricity. It took about 3 days, I think, for you to get it back. So
Yeah. Over 72 hours and finally got it back. And a lot of cold nights, but went over to my mom's place and tried to couple friends and those a lot of people offering their homes to us and
mhm,
we don't really we're not really comfortable with that kind of stuff, but we went over
yeah.
to a couple people's places and took advantage just to warm for a bit, just to change change the climate literally. So, but
And
yeah,
finally, spring has arrived here in Montreal. So we had a nice weather all day, and it should be like that for the whole weekend. So I think we'll be able to take advantage of the exterior Saturday. So yeah, it should be
yeah,
fun.
I got a big tree I got to go and cut branches off of because of my near death experience I had
Yeah, because
outside
of the ice
here.
storm we had last
Yeah,
week. Yeah,
I
it's
I was walking outside. Um, it's funny, for about 10 minutes I was looking outside my window thinking, do I go out? Do I not go out? I was getting worried about my car, where it was, and the tree falling maybe on it. And I'm like, I'm literally like on the couch looking outside. And about after 10 minutes, I get up and I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna put on my boots, put on my jacket, and I'll probably go get a coffee at the same time if Tim's is open. Try to stay warm.
mm-hmm.
As I open the door, a giant branch cracks. It sounded like thunder. Right behind me, landed about a meter and a half away from me. Had I
Whoa.
had I walked out like 2 3 seconds earlier, I was getting smashed by that. It was
Ouch.
crazy. Like it was like someone called it a Final Destination moment,
Yeah.
like in the movie. So, but yeah, I got
You're gonna
really
have
lucky.
you're gonna have to look over your shoulder for the rest of your life now.
Yeah, so now it was we got to go and cut down. Like we already cut down a lot of the branches, but we got to clean it up because it just looks a little bit weird now. But yeah, crazy moment.
Having
But
having seen those movie now, every time I'm following a truck with some lugs,
same
it's
thing.
yeah. I'm
Yeah,
like, okay, either we pull over or we get ahead of it, but I don't want to stay
yeah.
behind it, And I'm always checking the radio if it's Highway to Hell
I think the
playing.
same thing. It's so funny. So
Ah,
let's get going
all
with
right,
this because we got 2 episodes to get through, and I'm gonna do something now, um, which Dom is not aware.
okay.
So what I'm gonna
Surprise
do
me.
is this. So so now
Okay.
only Dom knows what I just did, and this is either gonna be
I'll let you know, guys. He pulled out all my notes.
so this will either be a disaster or it's gonna be fun because
Hmm.
we keep talking about how we want to reduce our notes and reduce our notes, and now I've reduced them. So now we have no choice but to improvise and talk about what's on the screen. So
Hmm.
first episode, and I have it here just in case because I know I can't remember the names. I mean, I know you're much better with it, but in case there's anything, it's still there.
All
So
right, all right.
we'll have it there in case. But yeah, so first episode, Guns for Hire, and let's just a little quick reminder, like we spoke about earlier, um, is that in the event that you haven't seen the episode, Be aware, major spoiler alert, uh, because we will be talking about everything that's going on in this episode. So if you haven't seen it, stay away. But if you have, then feel free to participate in our theories and conversation and all that fun stuff. So, the first picture I put that I wanted to observe was just the look of the ship. And I think
Yeah.
just looking at it, you can tell what's probably driving it. However, I think I would have probably been more on the
The Mount
calamari.
Calamari, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think,
Calamari, yeah.
but it's not their ship, is it? Like that's more like the, I guess, what do you call
It's yeah,
the
that's why you
squid
pulled out my
face?
nose, right? It's a quarren.
Okay. But you remember, so that's good. It's forcing you to remember because I know you have all this knowledge and you don't even really need these notes, but they're there just in case. But like I said, it's going to be fun. But I don't know them, and what it's going to force me to do is ask you. Like I'm that average guy that doesn't really know all that stuff, and you're going to be there with your all your knowledge. So
All
I
right.
thought I thought the ship was very interesting to see it. I guess the way she piloted the ship too was quite interesting, like the kind of like a I
I
guess
like the idea of the water tank for the captain,
so almost like
and
a healing tank, right? Like
it
Luke's
looks like a Bacta tank, yeah.
yeah,
And well, I like the idea because they're water species, so
yeah.
it kind of fitted. She's a captain, so she has a luxury of being able to be submerged in water,
Well,
and
it's
with
funny
the
because before even the episode started, you know how they always have their recap, like, and they showed them, like when well, I guess when he first met the Mandos, right? Uh,
yeah.
yeah,
And it's one of the rare times that the Quarren are depicted as good people, because most of the time, if you see a Quarren, he's either a pirate or a criminal or a bad guy. And the Bon Calamari guys are always the good guys, and trying to survive Quarren attacks or something like that. So
well, there was a bit of a hint, right, at one point. So, like, you say that coincidentally, and obviously, this is the part that that we had kind of. It's funny because I'm trying to put myself in the mindset of 2 episodes ago, so I'm being very
mhm,
careful with what I'm saying. But I remember because we basically had a discussion about the episode. We just didn't have the episode happen.
mhm,
But it's funny how we kind of predicted that we would see them after Gideon got sprung free, right, from the transport ship.
yeah,
We had kind of said, oh, maybe it's time that Sasha Banks comes back or everything. There wasn't any mention of her or anything like that, but lo and behold, we got her back. I don't remember the name of her character. Dom, do you need your notes?
it's Casca Reeve, and
There you go.
the guy in the driving seat or the captain seat is Axe Wolves.
Yeah,
So yeah,
Wolves I
those are the
remembered.
two guys we saw in season two. They
Any
were
idea who the other guy is though? Because we see him a couple times.
yeah, and we saw him in this week's episode as well.
Yeah,
He was in Axe Wolves seat.
yeah,
I guess we'll talk about it later, but
yeah.
when the armorer comes back. So
So this
uh,
scene is funny because it just we were talking about them being a bad guy when she made that comment like oh, I'm not gonna spoil what I have for some kind of like crush or something like that. I was like, oh, here we go. Like I'm like, but then she went back on it immediately. So it's a nice little love story. I think it's super weird to look at, but
yeah, I agree with you, but yeah,
yeah,
it's. I think it was nice to see finally a Moncada and a Corin being able to that's it reminded me of Romeo and Juliet because there are two clans that are not supposed to like each other, and those two, they have learned to they have fallen in love and they want to live peacefully and
but the whole
you
reason the
know
Mandos are there it's his dad or something, right? That's trying to
yeah
kind of get him back because obviously he's got a problem with this whole situation. So
it's the Mount Calamari young man's father who are the Mandos to bring him back, and I have a theory that the father could be Lichar, who was a prince at the time of the Clone Wars. and who fought alongside Anakin and Ahsoka when the Quarrens tried to take over.
I'm not
And
there yet. My rewatch. So
yeah, yeah. Well, so he was a young prince at that time. His father had just died, and there was like a little power vacuum. And the Quarrens wanted to rule Moncala, and he was the supposed heir of the throne. So I wouldn't be surprised if he is. I guess he now is King
related and
Richard,
so
so
on. Yeah.
King Richard's son. So yeah, could be related.
So then moved on to the I guess the what my kids saw when he saw it is like he called it Epcot Center,
Yeah,
just because the ball and everything. So
it's not very
uh,
far fetched.
I'm gonna be I'm gonna have to hold you at bay because I know that you have some objections to some of the stuff, and I do as well to like where the direction of this kind of show went here. So like as you know, anyone who's seen this, they were trying to get to the Mandos, but they kind of got like took a detour to go meet the I guess the king and queen or whatever they want to call themselves of the this
Yeah.
place. And
Do you remember the name of the planet?
no, do you?
It's useful when you have those. Huh? It's Plaisir 15.
There you go. You know why you remember it? Because you wrote the notes. So there you go. But yeah, but you know what? Like I do remember because I remember. Well, I remember you now that you said it, but because of the French kind of
Yeah, yeah.
translation, right? Like so.
Plaisir is like plaisir, which means
Yeah.
pleasure in French. So
So
yeah,
do you want to let's talk about it. So I guess
let's talk about
Lizzo,
the elephant in the room.
yeah.
And
Um,
I don't make any bad reference
no, no,
to
no.
the
It's
people
not.
inside. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not literal, but like,
Well,
it's
they say the banta in the room, right? At some point in
yeah.
the episode. So yeah.
I just find that like I'm all for cameos. I'm all for cameos of Star Wars related stuff. This was a little bit out of my comfort zone in terms of cameos and like like I'm thinking back of the days when they talked about Attack of the Clones and having NSYNC in there, right?
Hmm.
Apparently they were there and filmed and everything, but they cut them all out and all that. Uh, it I'm having a hard time with it, and it's like I call me whatever, like I'm not hip or whatever. I don't listen to that music or whatever, but it's just I thought first of all she did a decent job, but she's not an actress, right? And like
Yeah.
it was probably one of her first big roles, and again, like they're gonna throw her in Star Wars, so I'm all for getting new eyes the same way that like you see a Logan Paul in the WWF or WWE, sorry,
Hmm.
it's to get views and to get, but like I just find it's a little on the sellout, but overall it didn't bother me that much. What as much as I guess what followed. But I don't know. I'll
Yeah.
let you give some of your opinion on this too, right?
Because I got nothing about Lizzo the singer, and well, Jack Black. I mean, he did project that I really enjoyed,
He's
but
a legend.
their
I'm
fit in Star Wars, that's where it kind of
yeah.
bugged me. I see that picture, and at the same time, I see like Minnie Mouse and Geppetto.
Well, you know what kind of bugged me, and again, it's going on the social media thing and maybe not being as hip as stuff. But the thing is, like, I saw them at like a little TikTok video or whatever it was, and they're in costume, like maybe in their dressing room, and they're doing a video, and I'm just like, ugh,
Yeah,
like
like some
like
sort of choreography. Yeah, I saw. I
yeah,
think I saw
it's
this.
just like it's so a lot of the Star Wars is secretive, and yes, you get to see the behind the scenes stuff, but I don't like seeing that. Like for some reason, I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm being protective. It just put me out of my comfort zone to see people in costume, and like I wonder if Disney felt like oh man, like they filmed this stuff. Like what if this had leaked or something, right? Like
Hmm.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just being old or I don't know what the deal is, but I didn't really freak out over it, and everything that went to follow with it. For me personally, like the story behind it, and anyone who's seen this, who knows what's coming up next. You could have taken this whole portion out of the episode, and it would have
Yeah,
made zero difference, right?
I
So
like the special effect for the her tail feathers. I think it looks pretty neat.
yeah,
Costume designs were good. The set was terrific.
yeah,
As you said, it reminds a little bit of Epcot Center. And you sent me earlier today a picture of the Tron ride at Walt Disney World.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's some influence that comes from there. So uh,
So to further in the story there, I mean, he went on to, you know, like everyone's seen, is that he was having issues with their droids malfunctioning, and we get to see this. I'm perfectly fine with this cameo. You know, like it's
yeah,
not.
it
We
was
know
good. Yeah,
it's Emmett Brown and all this stuff, but like, you know, he Christopher Lloyd is a little bit more low key, a lot more low key than a lot of the actors, right?
yeah.
He's not.
Lisa and Jack Black are more like eccentric,
Yeah.
and
Um, but
as you said, he's low key.
I was happy to see him in there. And then
I liked
uh,
his badge. You know, one thing funny is that Christopher Lloyd went from being the man in the DeLorean to be with the Mandalorian.
yeah, I've seen so many memes about that. That came out after.
Yeah.
So anyway, he sent them down to try to investigate the whole issue, and then we got our friends over here. I can't imagine it was the same actress that did all the whole bunch, but
What species are they, Eric?
you know what? It bugs me because I tried to remember it before, and now you're gonna say it, and I won't
If
remember.
only you could see my notes, right?
It's okay. You're there for that. That's what you're
They
there
are
for.
Ugnaughts.
Ognots. That's it. Ah,
Yeah, first scene. Well, on like on my T-shirt, like, on Bespin, on the in the Empire Strikes Back. So they were the one building the carbon freezing chamber.
um, oops. Looks like I'm getting a little bit of a heads up that there's some flickering of the lights. I hope the power doesn't go out, especially for 72 hours. Um, so anyway, we get to see some droids. This was always cool. Obviously, much more advanced than we've seen them in terms of like, I guess in the graphics or what do you want to special effects, right? Like I mean, they look
Yeah.
okay in Clone Attack of the Clones, but this was like you could see next level the lighting and everything like that. It's always fun. The
Oh,
voice was
maybe we should
familiar.
explain what is the side quest, because Doc
Yeah.
Brown explains that the droids have been experiencing like malfunctions, and he wants Bo-Katan and Din to investigate what's going on, because apparently the people on Pleasure is are like have become lazy, and they wouldn't know how to survive without droid assistance.
That part, you know what it reminds me of? Wally.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it reminds me a little bit. I mean, they're not all overweight and everything like that, but I mean, it did remind me of that a little bit. Um,
Um,
but
I totally agree with you, because to me that episode is Wally meets iRobot, the
yeah.
movie with Will Smith.
Well, so let's get to that point. So I took put this picture in here. It was just so funny how he was trying to instigate them. It's like, well, and this won't phase them, will it? You know. And
Yeah,
then there's your iRobot, and anyone who's seen even as far as the animated series, they weren't even. Well, the animated I'm not serious, but I don't
they
remember
weren't
the
that
thing.
agile. Yeah,
No, no, really not. Um, and oh, we got James and we got Derpy Entertainment that are here. Can I say something about season three? Go ahead, Derpy.
yeah,
And
sure, go
anytime you
ahead.
want to chime in, go ahead. I put a picture here that I wanted to put in because this is what it reminded me of. If you look at the shot, it's the famous BB-8 walker that he had. Remind
Yeah,
me of like the technology. All of a sudden, these robots are super agile and have that ostrich type of movement. And so this was the best episode though of the season.
okay. Well, I'm
Uh,
glad you enjoyed it,
yeah.
because I had a tough time with it, but yeah, feel free to add some
Well, I
arguments to.
are you talking about the episode or chapter 22 or 23 now?
Oh yeah, because we're at chapter 22
Yeah, we're
now.
talking about last week's episode. So if it is, then great. But I can't say that that was my favorite. And then
This week's episode was my favorite
yeah,
though,
yeah,
but we'll
definitely.
talk about it later. Yeah.
Then we got our droid bar over here. I don't know if you want to add anything about the droid bar that
Well,
we saw, but
it felt cool to see, you know, droids, all shiny, and there was like a beautiful blue protocol droid that was in the background, and I learned after I saw the show a story that the guy who built it was part of the Droid Builders Club
Oh, nice.
uh, in the UK. Well, yeah, it's nice, but unfortunately, the end of the story is a
Ah,
little bit sad because he died like 2 months before the show was aired. He had
mm,
a terminal disease. Not sure if it was some sort of cancer or something like that, but it was kind of a tribute to his
his work.
craftsmanship.
Yeah.
They did, yeah. So
I
I
thought I
thought
had
it
more
was
shots of
a
this.
nice gesture.
I thought I had more shots of the bar. I guess I didn't take enough, but
And there was like all sorts of
yeah.
droids in that bar. Yeah,
I
it
guess
was pretty cool.
maybe I forgot to save it. I take a lot of
And
shots, and then I sometimes I either click save or I don't. But I guess I forgot to do it on this one. But I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have taken just this shot here. But yeah, like you said, a cool scene again, and you can see it's like they have like some kind of little camaraderie between them, right? Like and I hate to say it, but only to further your theory of R5, which I really not a fan of, but the whole droid camaraderie and all this stuff. But yeah, cool scene. Um,
so
and then
the barman explains to Din and Bo that he wants to cooperate, and it's not to their advantage to have a rogue droid or those malfunctions because
yeah,
they're afraid the humans
they don't want to
won't
be
care about using them.
deactivated. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's it.
Um, so they went and investigate over here, and then they
The
ended up,
the droid board, I guess.
yeah. And right when they were about to figure it all out, their it's like their
It
medicals,
looks like a retooled
yeah, like a medical
interrogation droid.
probe,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. Ended up turning on them, and we got to see Mando using the dark saber. It looked a little bit more, I guess, comfortable with it, but mind you, it was just one strike.
and
And
it was just to remind us that he still had the
yeah,
saber in his possession because of what
and
happens next.
revealed us to that the DeLorean
Yeah.
was not the big red button. That I put this in here just as it's so cliche, right? He has
Absolutely.
does no one know not wonder why there's a big red button there? But
Well, at the beginning of the show, he said that in case they create havoc, he can deactivate all the droids.
yeah,
But he says that it should be like a last resort thing. But at the end, he explained that no, it's not to shut them down. It's to put them back to being battle droids,
yeah,
so they would kill everybody in
yeah.
town. So he ends up admitting he was a separatist and a big fan of Count Dooku. He says Count Dooku was right all along, and the New Republic is failing, which in some ways is true, but uh, unfortunately, violence is not really the option here. And well, he's brought back uh, to
Well, I put this
Minimount
shot
and
here for a
Geppetto.
reason. This is basically a TK with a robe on and no helmet.
True.
He's got. I mean, having like the costume myself, it's essentially a carbon copy. Well, that's what it is. I mean, as far every piece, put a bucket on him, remove this kind of like pauldron or whatever, like the robe. It's a stormtrooper. So it kind of makes you wonder. I guess they salvaged all these droids, and they must have salvaged, I guess, some of the uniforms and recycled them for their own guards, right? Like,
Well, Jack Black's character, which is Commandant Bombardier, used to be an Imperial officer, and
so
he has the amnesty badge on his chest.
well, you know what?
So,
Like in that case, because I was always saying that, maybe I was thinking, you know what? Like, he salvaged some of these stormtroopers and hired them. Say, listen, take your
mhm.
helmet off, keep your stuff, and let's come work for me type thing. So
Yeah, well, they're not allowed to have an army, so that's why he only has a pike.
yeah,
I assume he doesn't have a blaster on his belt.
not that I saw. There's a bunch of them, right? So I mean, I saw it on an earlier photo, but that's the one I
Yeah,
thought you could see a little bit more. But again,
it was-
clear the
yeah, it's
pieces
on
and
the
like the
base. Yeah.
lines and everything. It's really, the ammo blocks and everything like
And
that.
I'm sure that guard says, "For once, I don't have an helmet on. I could aim, but they took off my gun."
This was something was like, oh my god, the key to the city. This I knight you. Like, what are you doing? Like, I'm like, what is the point of this? Like, you're gonna knight Grogu? Like,
Hmm.
I thought it was anyway. I don't even want to get into this, but again, it went to the parts where I didn't really freak out that much about the whole episode, and it is what it is. But uh, then we get to the part where it's a little bit more pertinent and made the story advance, which is why they were there in the first place. And like had they just landed there or had been able to land there in the first place, it would have been an 8-minute episode.
Yeah,
So I guess I
basically.
understand, but that really felt like about 30 some minutes of filler to me. Side quest, I think we spoke of it. It felt like you're playing a video game. It's like, oh, go over here and speak to this guy, and he'll guide you. Then you go over here, guide. Okay, he'll guide you. Oh my God, it was the first guy all along. Oh, go
Those
back and defeat him.
NPC
Right? Like
characters,
it was
right?
just,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Really like giving you your quest. So
Except
I don't
that
know.
normally at the end of that side quest, you get a reward, like a goodie. You want a brand new armor or
Yeah,
brand
well,
new sword, something like
well,
that.
I
And
so to that point, I guess she did
well,
get a
they
goodie,
won the
right?
key to the city, right? That's
Yeah.
the
And Grogu got knighted just for hanging out with her.
yeah.
So, and then obviously here we had the face off, which is what we had waited to see. I guess, or how are they going to receive her, or how is she going to be with him upon seeing each other again? Because she had kind of alluded to that in the earlier episodes that they kind of like left her because she wasn't the leader anymore or whatnot, right?
Well,
So
they had left her because she didn't came back with the dark saber. So
yeah,
she said that the fleet kind of disbanded, and
so challenged him to the lead, won, and then he said something along the lines, "Well, you still don't have the
that
dark
fight was
saber."
good though. I
Yeah.
like the choreography. Obviously, my favorite part of the episode. It's just that I think I would have preferred if that scene would have happened prior to the fight. So they arrive. Axelrod says, "Well, you don't have the dark saber. You're not going to lead us."
Oh, and
And
then he
then Din
challenges her for the
says,
dark saber. Yeah.
"No, no." Din says, "Well, technically, I was defeated, and she defeated my attacker. So here it is." And then Axelrod could have said, "Well, I challenge you," and they would have fought for the dark saber.
Either
And
yeah,
I
either
think
that
it would
or
have been a little bit more,
Fox could have challenged Din, and then maybe she after. But I think the way they did it was all right. I mean,
yeah,
she beat him, and he was still like kind of like refused to kind of like I guess accept her as the leader because she didn't have the dark saber. And then I thought this is a bit of a technicality. Well, that thing beat me and she beat him, so I guess that counts, right? Like
yeah, true.
I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm thinking a little bit of like a combat sport thing where like just because Nate Diaz beat Conor McGregor doesn't mean that if you beat Nate Diaz, you beat Conor McGregor, right? Like it
True.
doesn't like it's like one of those little things for me, but it is what it is. But all in all, I was happy to see her finally get that back. He brought back flashes of Clone Wars and stuff, so it was nice for that ending there.
Yeah, I just want to say hi to Marika, who says good evening, and James, who says, "Wow, this is the best part of the episode, and loved how they worked around the challenge." Yeah, uh, I agree with you, and it felt good to see finally Bo with the dark saber and everything. So yeah, it concluded, yeah, a relatively uneventful episode, but a beautiful episode visually.
Yeah,
Even the streets of Plaisir, where when they were running after the droid, and I liked how those police droid like drew that yellow ribbon when there was like a crime scene.
yeah,
It was original, I thought, and
that was good.
yeah, it felt it had some Blade Runner vibes. I think also.
Well,
Well,
that's
speaking of Blade Runner, that's how
couldn't have had a better segue, I
yesterday's
think, than that.
episode begins, right?
Yeah, because let's start on this one called the spies, and the reason I'm trying to get to this one because I have a lot of slides, so get ready. And I love the fact that now you don't have your notes because there's a lot, so you're gonna get tested. But I think it's going well so far without your notes, right? So we didn't
Yeah,
have to
yeah, yeah.
follow
Well,
anything. We're not
you
relying on it.
skipped the dinner table at the at Plaisir 5 where all those alien species were, and
I didn't
I
want to have to.
remembered a few. I was like, oh, am I gonna remember everything? But you
Yeah,
did,
you know
so
what? I didn't want to go too far at the whole Lizzo thing, to be honest with you. That's why I kind of
I remember there was like Celestian, Etorians, and Snivians, but I'm sure there would have been one or two species that I would have forgot definitely. So
So you know exactly what you're talking about, Blade Runner. This is the vibe that I got. Look at this picture.
yeah.
If you take this shot and you send it to someone with no context, you're gonna think, "Whoa, is it a Blade Runner kind of like sequel?" Without, I mean, without reading some of the writing, you know, I'd
Yeah.
be curious to know, like, you know, actually what that says. I'll put, maybe I should test you on that.
No,
But you look at that,
don't.
even the jacket and everything, it's got that total Blade Runner vibe for anyone
Hmm.
who's followed the movies. And this is like, I took this shot and I'm like, I would want this. Looks like one of those, you know, at the end of the episode they show the sketches. It looks like that, and I'm so intimidated by this droid for some reason. The probe droid, ever since I'm a kid, when it landed, it's got that kind of, it's got like a almost, this doesn't look too bad, but it has a very kind of, I don't want to say psychotic, but a very dangerous, like, so when they notice it and it shot at Chewie and everything, like, oh wait a minute, this thing's kind of like
Hmm.
scary. The noise it makes is super creepy. It's got, I think we
Yeah,
spoke about it. Yeah, it's got that Sentinel feel from the Matrix. I forget what example that you gave also yesterday. Like it like a creepy like kind of spider as well. Like it's just got
hmm.
this, the big red eye. I think is what you compared it to from what was it that we were talking about?
I'm trying to remember what I was talking about.
But for me that thing is super like kind of like eerie, the noise and everything, and to see it at night like that with the big red light, I thought was really cool. So probably one of my favorite visual scenes. I know it's simple, but I absolutely love this part.
It also has some like Skynet,
Yeah,
Terminator vibe as
yeah,
well
exactly.
with the red eye.
The dark, yeah. So, and then we finally see Gideon for the first time after all
And
the.
we get the confirmation that everybody. I think everybody anticipated that Elia Kane is working
Oh
as
yeah,
a spy for
it's funny. Like
Moffat.
I completely blew over that because to me it was just like, of course, you know.
Yeah,
And what was it here? He had mentioned something like, you know, he was wondering that the Republic or the Republic is, you had assured us that there would be no presence, or it's, well, it's not them, it's the Mandalorians, right? So,
exactly. So
uh,
she reported everything to Gideon, and to initiate communication with him, she says her TK number.
yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
She doesn't say her new amnesty. I think it
yeah.
was like G20
Well, the
something.
droid would have shot her in the face. So,
Yeah, that's it. So she goes
um,
like TK. What's my number? 255 2577 something like that, and yeah,
and
it
then
activates communication with.
you get this shot after the communication. It looked like a promo shot when I took it.
It
With the
could
new
have been,
type
yeah,
of stormtrooper, it reminded me of the kind of biker jet troopers also that we saw in the last
Rise of Skywalker.
the Rise of Skywalker. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
the one that Finn says, "What, they fly now?"
oh yeah, yeah. And then this scene, this is, I'm gonna let you talk to a lot of this stuff. I will bring up a couple things, but we had our discussion, and I thought this was a really cool scene. It
Yeah,
reminded me
yeah,
of, it had an Andor vibe to it. So
and we're tying the sequels more and more with those scenes. So this gentleman here is Commandant Brendel Hux, uh, who is the father of General Hux from the sequel trilogy.
he sounded
Uh,
just like him too, eh? Like when he started
well,
speaking, I was like, wait a minute. I'm like, no, 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 that's not him. Like so,
I'll tell you why. General Hux is played by Domhnall Gleeson, sorry, and that's Brendel Gleeson, his brother.
makes absolute sense. And
So they use his brother to play his father, and he has a major role in the Captain Phasma book that came out. Well,
look
am
at
I
that! Look how ready I
anticipating you
am.
or what?
Yeah, yeah.
So he has a major role, and I think I'll let you talk about it since
Yeah, so I
you've
actually
read it, and
I've read the book because I was all in on Phasma. Like when Force Awakens came out, it was hard to get the figurine. There was so much hype behind it. Then there was that very minimal presence. And then before the Last Jedi came out, they took out a comic book. They took out a book. I won't spoil the book for you, but um, basically Hux, well, the Hux that we know from the movies, well, his dad, who we just saw over here, he's the one that basically goes on her home planet. She's living with her brother, obviously no armor at this point. They're just like the kind of like their village people there, and he pulls her away from that planet, and he brings her on board. Um, and his son is involved in the storyline to an extent and everything like that. There's one thing that's like common about her, which was unfortunately not disregarded, but we didn't get to see it in the movies, is how she's really out for herself. And if you looked at the extra scenes from or the cut scenes from the Last Jedi, there was a scene with her when uh, Finn talks to her. You're only basically out for yourself, and to the point where the stormtroopers are kind of looking at each other like, "Oh my god, this guy is right." And with the context of the book, that scene is incredible. Without the book, without the comic book, it's lost. And unfortunately, if
Mhm.
you have a chance to read this book, I think it's super interesting. Adds a lot of context to the character. Gives it that little kind of like shines a bit of light on this character, which I think it was deserved, but we never got to see. In the comic book, for anyone who hasn't read it, it's basically that this was before obviously all this happened. So I would assume it's a little bit after Mando, and well, I guess obviously between Mando and I guess Force Awakens.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about the age of Hux and all that stuff, but the comic book is actually set um, after the Force Awakens. So basically, someone was aware that she gave the codes to Finn and Han Solo, and she has to clean her
Okay.
tracks so she doesn't get killed. Again, always looking out for herself. So again, this character is super
Mhm.
interesting, but didn't get the credit that it deserved.
Yeah,
And
and in that book they also mention Captain Cardinal, uh, full name being Archex. And for those who were wondering when that Red Black series element came out, who the heck is that guy? Well, he's in that story. So if you want to know more about him, well, I
was
recommend that to
Cardinal in that other animated series? I forget what it was called.
Resistance.
Was it called Resistance? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was the one that was that had only 2 seasons.
Yeah, but Cardinal was it.
Yeah,
Well, I know
no,
Phasma
it
was.
wasn't.
Okay, yeah. Oh, he
Phasma
wasn't?
was there was a golden stormtrooper.
Ah, that's it, the golden. Yeah.
I don't remember his name right now. If it comes back to me during the show, I'll let you guys know, or if somebody knows it in the chat. But all I know is that his golden armor was made of electrum, the same gold plating material that Mace Windu used for the gold accent on his lightsaber.
Hmm.
Uh, Fun fact.
Could have been a
But
recycled C3PO too or something like that. Okay.
yeah, yeah, I don't think it was because it's a very rare
Yeah.
mineral and it's from the Know system. So hey, going back again with my T-shirt, Bespin, the Know system.
And who is
Uh,
this
yeah,
gentleman over
this
there?
this guy I'm sure got a lot of legend books fans really excited. I mean, his name was dropped near the end of the Rebel animated series. He's Grand Admiral Thrawn's right hand man, Captain Pelihan, played by Xander Berkeley. There's an image, yeah, from the legend stuff, I would assume. And yeah, basically, uh, is Tron's right hand man and is a really good tactician. Probably not as good as Tron himself, but you learn from the best and you stick with the best if you wanna improve your game. So um, yeah, it was pretty cool to see him, and it's the first time we see him in live action in the canon universe. So
Good casting, I
uh,
guess, based off that picture. I'd never seen him before, but yeah, it's good
well,
casting.
Xander, the actor Xander Berkeley, played like he was Jack Bauer's boss in 1 or 2 seasons in 24. He was also in The Walking Dead that I can recall, and well, he was in many projects, but he always had like the secondary role uh, in most of the time. So yeah, it was a he's a pretty good actor though.
So this is the part that like kind of I guess set me up for a little bit of disappointment because
Okay,
all of a sudden Thrawn's name gets dropped over and over again, questioning. We hearing a Thrawn, but where is he and all this stuff. Like, so I'm like, oh, here we go, right? Like, so I'm like, we've got like, and I think a lot of people are expecting at this point a setup to Ahsoka in one way, like kind of like handing off um,
Yeah,
to their story. And I mean, but I was expecting to see Thrawn in this episode, and I guess anyway, everyone's already seen it, but ultimately we didn't see him in this episode. But I'm pretty sure we're gonna end the next season with him.
yeah.
Um,
I would assume as well that that's what is going to happen. You know, and if you look closely at the warlords, I mean, they're all looking out for themselves, right?
yeah,
That he says, well, you know, we're all gathering resources, pulling the sheet, you know, on our in our way, and you know, why don't we start? When are we going to start to work together as a whole? And
sharing
that's
resources and whatnot. I think it was mentioned or
yeah, because
referring to that.
even Gideon, you know, he asks Commandant Hawks for some more interceptors, more bombers,
Bombers, yeah.
and Praetorian
Praetorian
guards.
guards. When I heard that, I was like, oh, here we go, here we go.
Oh, yeah, I told myself, oh, we're already there, you know, because
Yeah,
they're basically the replacements for the Emperor's Royal Guard, right? So the super elite trained soldiers, special ops, uh, kind of characters. So yeah, it got me all pumped for what was about to come. And then we switched to Navarro. The people are rebuilding the main city after the pirate attack, and then they kind of get all afraid of seeing like some sort of an
Imperial
imperial
ship.
fleet. Yeah,
All I could think of in
but
this shot, sorry, was who the
it
hell
was a
painted
good
that?
shot. That I thought, yeah, it
Yeah,
was good. I couldn't imagine how long it took the Mandalorians with their jetpack to go and paint
it's crazy.
that symbol, but
It's cool, but I mean, I guess it's I guess the literal side of me that was like, just like, oh, I wonder how long it took to paint that on the side of the ship, right? And I guess we finally see the two clans meeting once and for all.
yeah, and you
Uh,
know, Bo-Katan was anticipating a lot for that meeting because you know, basically, it's like two clans that you know hate each other and they don't live the same style. So
don't follow the
it
same
felt
rules.
like pretty weird when Bo-Katan's clan took off all their elements and they stood
Yeah,
still, kept their element. You know, you could feel the tension, but the armorer kind of eased everything pretty quickly, banging her forging tools and you know
calling
saying,
for
"Hey,
a feast.
let's
Yeah.
prepare a feast to welcome our guests." You know, so
And meanwhile, I got
it was
Mando
good.
going back and seeing. I slightly disappointed, and we even spoke about this yesterday. But like, I'm like, all right, here comes IG-11. I'm like, what is this? And he's like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
it's
but the,
slightly modified. I'm like, ah, come on. Like, I loved IG-11. His personality, his kind of he had that kind of Drax literal kind of behavior. He was always trying to kill himself, all this stuff. Like, I love the character, and I love the guy who voiced the character as well. But so I was a little bummed out to see what they did, but it ended up like turning into something even more fun to watch, right? So,
yeah, yeah, for sure. And just before that, we saw Grief Karga give Mendo a nice bottle of wine. I
oh
would
yeah,
assume that it's going to be for sale at some point. They're going to commercialize that bottle for
I
sure.
don't
They're
have
not
the
going to
shot, but
miss.
yeah, the way it was being shown was just like when you're watching a commercial or a TV show, and the Pepsi's always pointed towards the camera, like it was very like, here you go, look at this.
Not so
So
subtle, right? Yeah.
no, really not. So
Maybe a new wine from the Skywalker Ranch. Who
maybe
knows? The vineyard. Yeah. Who knows? But yeah, I mean the Anzellan. Well, they basically stripped, you know, all the circuitry from IG-11. You got rebaptized IG-12 for the new action figures that are obviously gonna pop out, and then we get to see that little cute Grogu, you know, piloting
little
IG-12,
comedy
and
relief that they had there for a little bit,
and Karga gave me the good old grandpa vibes. You know, the grandpa who gives
yeah,
his
ah,
grandson
let him go, let
a
him
toy.
go.
You know, too mature for the kid, but It's okay. He'll be fine. And the dad is like, no, he's gonna kill
Yeah,
himself. Yeah, he's freaking out. So,
yeah, and Grogu's little yes and no buttons in there was that it
uh,
provided good comedy relief. I find and I thought it was fun to see that it was used in a clever way too because I'm like, well, it just says yes and no, but that was I guess what was funny about it is that you can still just with yes and no be able to fit in like that kind of like humor in there. So
yeah, and to annoy, in a fun way. And
yeah,
then
when he was
it was
walking down the
funny.
street here with the yes, yes,
Yes,
yes,
yeah.
yes the whole time, so that was pretty funny.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah. And do you remember what kind of fruit he was picking up?
no,
It was in my notes.
um, even if it
We
was
saw
in your
that fruit
notes,
in Star Wars Rebels, and it was in Melu Run. And there was like an episode when Hera sent Zeb and Ezra
oh yeah,
to Lothal to retrieve some provisions, and she said, "Don't you dare come back without a Melu Run."
yeah, wow,
And
wow. I actually remember that.
see,
Well, it's because I watched Rebels after I watched Clone Wars. It's a little bit more fresh in my head.
hmm
But yeah, I remember that now that
so
you say it.
it's not the first time we see one in live action, but it's always cool to. I always think about that episode that I didn't necessarily like the first time I saw it in Rebels, but now I kind of dig it more because because of the reference, So
I wouldn't do to be one of the extras on the back here, like just to be part of it.
yeah,
So
and
and
being immortalized, right?
we went back and we had Bo-Katan give the speech and obviously uniting finally the two clans together and getting ready to go back and attempt to take back I guess possession
Organizing
or yeah
the scouting party, yeah,
yeah
and
for
it kind of had some Fellowship of the Ring vibes, when
yeah
they say you got my sword and you got my axe, and it was like
yeah they all got
Casca
up
Reeve.
and
We just show yeah was the first one to say, well, I'm in. And then I think it was Paz Vizsla who said, "Yeah, well, I'm in too." And then Fox and
just about
Mendo, and
everybody and their dog after that was saying I'm in. So
yeah,
um, so then yeah they went back. I love this scene. It's hard to capture in pictures. I always like when they drop out of the ship and then they all landed here again. Looks like a movie poster kind of thing.
yeah,
Uh,
like the aliens, with the space marines. And it's not space marine, but uh, you know what I mean. With their suits, or the predator, with
yeah, that
the
looked really
Dutch and
cool.
his group. Yeah,
Then they encounter like this is something at first I was wondering what the heck was going on here. But I
me
mean,
too.
like a pirate ship, I guess, of the people that somehow survived. I guess the attacks and everything like this. I mean, we saw caves, we see caves a little bit further, but it was quite interesting to see these. And was there anyone? So that's something that I was waiting to ask you if there was any of these um, Mandos that we had seen before, or
No,
okay,
no previously seen, even in the Clone Wars or stuff like that.
okay,
They gave me like Mad Max vibes, with
yes,
the
the way
scrappy
the
sail
ship, yeah,
barge, and yeah, even their armor, the way it looks like it was patched a few times, and yeah, it was. Yeah, hey, Guillaume, nice to see you with us tonight.
and
So
then they talk about, I guess, like so they're at the dinner table, and I guess this is what comes out. Maybe I'll let you give the context behind this story since you're a
yeah,
little bit
so
more familiar with it.
basically, she tells her fellow Mandalorians how she came to lose the dark saber. So the Imperials were winning the war on Mandalore, and in order to save the lives and cities that were still standing on the planet, she decided to surrender on the condition that the bombing would stop. So they gave up all their weapons. She gave up the dark saber to Gideon, and he basically didn't keep his promise,
Yeah.
and he finished off all he had begun. So that's how Mandalore was completely reduced to glass, I should say. I was about to say dust, but it's
But
kind of,
like their defense, like it was gonna happen anyway, right? So if
yeah,
there was some small chance that that he would stick to his word, she's got to take it. Otherwise, it's happening either way, right? So,
Hmm.
so it's funny to see some of the like the Mandos are kind of questioned, but still, I think they seem to understand. Then we had the armorer here. Basically say she's going to take back some of the ones that were a little weaker that were on the boat, part of the people who
Yeah,
were already on that.
the injured ones. Yeah, back
Yeah,
to
so
the fleet.
I put this here for a key moment. We can follow up a little bit later with some theories here.
Okay, yeah,
Um, but then we had this playing games of chess and questions about who's right and wrong with the rules, or what kind of like, yeah, I guess that happens. It's like when you're playing Crazy Eights and everyone's got their own little rules of like, oh no, you can't do
yeah,
that on this and stuff like that. And we had the no, no, no come in. I thought this was pretty funny. Like
yeah,
kind of like rolling the newspaper and slapping your dog on the nose. No, no, like stop. And it was funny because
yeah.
they got the message and they did.
A good way to diffuse the situation, right?
Yeah. And then we have the ship going back here.
Yeah. So I thought they put a lot of emphasis on
Yes.
the armorer's way back to the fleet.
Yeah.
We saw her take off, then we see her in the electrical storm, and then she goes above the clouds, and then she asked the guy you were asking me. We saw in episode 22 or chapter 22, I should say, who he was, and he's commanding the big ship.
Yeah.
Uh, and she said, "Well, I'm bringing back like injured people." So that's where a lot of conspiracy theories are starting to pop up because the title of the episode is "The Spies,"
Yeah.
plural, and obviously we know Elia Kane is a spy, but since it's plural, who is the other or others?
Well, let's come back to that like after this and then
After this,
wrap
okay,
up. Yeah. So here a little. It's been almost like it's not a weekly thing, but some kind of new crazy monster beast.
yeah, the new Gaiju of the
Godzilla.
week, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it was quick though, because he came out, attacked, they ran into the cave. We never saw him again. I at first I thought it could be Mythosaur that we were gonna see come out there for a
Yeah,
second,
but it
but
was too big.
yeah, the size was too big, and I was expecting almost maybe to come in at the end and save him. I guess not the end, but I think that's way too big
Yeah,
compared
I
to
think they're gonna save it for next week, but we'll talk
yeah.
about it later as well.
And then this, I don't know. I took this shot because I thought maybe you'd be a bit more familiar because he does talk about what this place was, right?
Yeah,
Back in the
before you
Clone
go
Wars.
further, James on the chat says, I was almost sure that when they got through the clouds, that the fleet would have been destroyed.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
I
could
was
have.
expecting something. If not, I was expecting them to maybe have them, already taken ransom or anything because there was no communication from the grounds of Mandalore up into those ships, right? I think that they can't communicate to each other. So
Yeah, yeah, and I agree with you, Guillaume, that the spy is the officer, but the title is plural. It
yeah,
says the spies, so it means that there's more than one. So
so
that's
yeah, we'll
why
get
we're
back
questioning
to it.
ourselves to who's the other one. So yeah, those are the Forge of Mandalore. We never got to see them in the Clone Wars, so it was good to see it in live action.
And this is
And
where
then,
I
well,
guess going to what James was saying, like we expected them to be, but my expectation was like he said to have something up there, but the ambush was actually happening down on the ground in the cave, which was a little confusing. I'm like, how the hell these people get there, right? Which we find out
find out
afterwards.
soon enough. Yeah,
Yeah, so soon enough we see that everything he's requested conveniently was super quick. So like, how long have they been settling on Mandalore, right? Like I said, it
yeah, I
makes you
know. And
wonder.
when they were chasing the white uh, stormtrooper slash chrome, not chrome, but Beskar armored trooper.
Yeah,
I was looking at the
the
hallways, and I was like,
corridors. Yeah,
yeah,
same thing.
it looks imperial.
Yeah,
And then they
and it
end up
looks new. It doesn't
seeing,
look like it didn't look like it was just like a ruin or something. Like it looked brand new, and then lo and behold, they get over here. I always love seeing how they store their ships and everything. Like I don't know, it's something that
well, with their wings hanging down, they look like
yeah,
bats.
yeah,
I don't know if you noticed, it looks like a bat sleeping, from the roof of a cave. So,
yeah. It was fun to see them be deployed a little bit shortly after that too.
mhm.
But yeah, definitely cool. So then, it was obviously a trap the whole time. They kind of like, I guess, they get Mando away from the rest of the group and capture him, like everyone's seen. And then we get this nice, um, I guess, view of Gideon in his new suit made of
Well, you say
multiple.
Gideon, but when he landed, I was like, it's not Gideon's regular chest plate. So I was like, is it Gar Saxon? Because there were some horns on the top of his helmet, and it reminded me Gar Saxon from the final season of the Clone Wars. And then, well, he quickly removed the. Well, no, we hear him speak before he removes his helmet, and I was like, oh no, okay,
But
it's
even
Giancarlo Esposito
if you look at
inside.
these helmets, they've got that look of the um, I don't, not what's the stormtroopers I'm talking about, not
The
the
Death Trooper,
yeah,
I think,
exactly.
but in white.
But even as far as the look that they have in whatchamacallit, the Rise of Skywalker,
Oh
um,
yeah, well the Jet Trooper, I think they
yeah,
are.
exactly. So they already had that look of like you could see it. So again, you could see the kind of
The
evolution.
influence. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. So I guess it's evolving towards that new look that we ended up seeing. But this looked insane. He explains it as being like the best of three different kind of worlds or whatever, like the best cars. So, oh, that's one thing that they did mention when they're being ambushed by these guys that they said they're wearing best car, right? Like best car armor,
yeah, yeah.
which now kind of throws off a little bit the theory of like how Gideon got saved. Like like they were wearing best
Exactly.
car, right? So it's
Hmm.
who
No,
knows what's going
I
on
think
there.
I told you guys 2 weeks ago that I thought it was made to look like it was Mandalorians, but it could have
Yeah.
planted evidence.
This
But
almost
yeah,
got a phase two clone trooper thing going too. Like if you
visor,
hide,
right?
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
But
But there's
the
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 horns.
Gideon element looks great. I mean,
Well,
prepare
look at the
yourselves for
cosplay,
a 2024 release from
toys, and
Hasbro
all that.
Master helmet.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. Wait till you see the cosplay. Of this is coming. In full stride. We're
yeah,
gonna start seeing this at the
for
comic
sure.
cons and whatnot because it's definitely a cool looking thing, or maybe a play on that for Mandalorian merch. But is it actually going to be a Mandalorian, or is it really because this technically is 501st, right? It's a bad guy,
Hmm.
so he's Imperial, but he's just got that
Yeah,
look, so it could be
yeah.
interesting.
So yeah, but I kind of hope they do make that helmet. I'm like sometimes I'm like, yeah, well, give us a break to our wallet needs a break, but that one, yeah, I kind of dig it. So yeah,
Yeah.
I like glassy stuff. So
So then, I mean, they
oh, sorry, Guillaume says Gideon's Beskar armor made me think about the game
yeah,
Jedi Knight. There was a bad guy with a a
Cortosis,
Cortosis armor. There was also
Sith
Sith
acolyte with
Acolyte
those kind of armor.
with those kind of armor. So yeah, yeah, you know, uh, I really liked it. It looked great. It fitted with the character, I think.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So
Then obviously
well,
they
Din is taken away, and
yeah.
yeah, the Bo decides to
Well,
cut
react and try to get the
her
hell
way
out of there
out.
because they were gonna all get executed by the troopers. And
Definitely, yeah.
we had Pez
And
Dispenser
Paz, you know,
take the bullet literally said like
yeah,
I'm gonna hold them off. Go ahead. And we've seen this a million times in movies and TV shows.
yeah,
Where
the
go ahead.
ultimate
I'm gonna
sacrifice, yeah.
yeah.
Well, he has a good scene. I mean, he shoots them all out. His, he shoots so much that his gun
That
literally melts.
yeah, you can see it completely overheating and yeah.
Yeah.
I guess we're gonna see
So
something about someone's gonna have to go report to his kid, right? About
I
um,
like that, when it was unable to use it, you just threw it at the last
yeah,
guy standing, and he falls down the cliff. And I didn't realize, but when the white, I don't know, was
stormtroopers
trooper,
or
yeah, were shooting at him, his jetpack was hit, and there was spark flying from his jetpack. So my theory is that it wasn't working anymore, because when I watched it the first time, I was like, the Praetorian guards are coming in. why don't you just take off? They don't have jetpacks.
Yeah, but it's also
But
diverting the attention onto him, right? So it's like he's making the ultimate sacrifice, and I think it's buying them time. If he flies away, then maybe they'll draw their attention back on them and chase after them, right? So
yeah, also,
he's
yeah,
there holding them off, and then we get to see what we had kind of expected. Weird looking helmets compared to what we saw him in the Last Jedi, but definitely got that lobster look that's very famous, I guess, with the characters. And again, this is gonna hit the 501st Legion and cosplayers like crazy for sure. The helmets look a lot easier to
yeah,
make and luck because I know one or two people that have the Praetorian Guard, and the helmets are tough. Like a lot of slits and thin lines in the helmet makes it very sensitive, very easy to break. This has got a bit more of a Mando look to it, and
and
also the guard of
yeah,
the Imperial
well,
Guard.
it's kind of a good transition between the Emperor's Royal Guard
Yeah, the Royal Guards.
and the actual Praetorian Guard we saw in Snoke's chamber.
Yeah,
I just want to point out that Guillaume is reminding us that Cartosis is the legend version of Beskar. Same resistance to blaster and lightsaber. So yeah, that's good to know. I mean, yeah, cool,
and
cool.
then
Oh yeah, pretty cool picture
photo
there.
picture. Yeah, these are the hot toys I think that they made, but I thought it was good to show like I guess the evolution of where they went after. Not much change, I guess, in the upper. Well, I mean, I'm sure anyone who's more of an armor person will figure it
Yeah,
out. But I mean, the kind of the skirty kind of look with the armor on top, and then the helmets. They had different versions. They had two or three different helmets, I think, if not even more, for the Praetorian Guards in the Last Jedi. But so I thought
I
it'd be
have a
cool to
mug from made from the one in the middle.
a what?
A mug.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So if you
Uh,
guys want to watch my secret addiction to mugs video on my YouTube channel, check it out. You'll come across
well, I'm
that element.
seeing here the arms are definitely got that more like why they call them lobsters, like in the
Yeah,
501st,
the
joking
scale
around.
thing. Yeah,
Whereas these are really like your typical stormtrooper, um, I guess,
armor.
yeah, gauntlets or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, ultimately leading to his death, and that was basically it for him. And I
Hmm.
guess John Favreau is out of an acting job, or
Well, technically, it wasn't him in the suit anymore.
oh no, okay,
For the entire season, yeah, I saw the credits, and he didn't wear the suit for season 3.
okay.
And my guess is that at some points, perhaps even as soon as next episode, those guys are gonna take off their helmets, and it would have felt weird to see John Favreau's face.
Well,
So,
yes, because you don't know. I mean, I'm sure they know who's voicing it, but like to not see John Favreau, not have the guys,
well,
so now you're gonna have.
John was voicing it, but he wasn't
Oh, was he?
inside the costume.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, okay.
I
Huh.
think. Yeah.
The voice sounded okay, but so I guess to go back on the theories now, and anyone who's in the chat, please add in what you think is going on. But what's your theory, I guess, on the spies, and who is do you think is part of it?
Yeah, so more than one people came to me and asking, could the armorer be the spy? And I guess that to some extent it could be possible, but I remember that at the end of season 1, the armorer was in her forge, and she kicked the butt of several stormtroopers who tried to came in and arrest her. So if she is indeed a spy, she would have to
Well,
turn her coat.
she could have been captured then and then turned, right? She
Yeah,
so just
or
the
being
same way as
tortured and
Bo-Katan, yeah, I
yeah.
mean, Gideon might have gone to her and say, "Listen, you got to do this," and so I mean, I guess I was thinking because to have Fox and Sasha Banks, whatever her name is, like to have them like the first time we saw them, they were on a mission, just doing their job. They looked like they were, I guess, more villain type roles. After springing Gideon, I thought maybe it was them. That's where I was leaning. I guess up until yesterday, and then I had a discussion with someone at work, and it kind of it made me think who had access to this this Beskar, right? That was possibly in the ship
Hmm.
that they were talking about. The armor has plenty of it, right? She's
Yeah.
always had access to it. She could be orchestrating with it because she's the one that pushed Bo to get these groups together. And
Hmm.
coincidentally now, she gets them. They end up going on Mandalore. They get all together, and who leaves? The armorer
Her.
does. So
Yeah.
her job is, if she is the spy, she's done her job. She got Bo-Katan to unite both clans, got them to the same spot together, had probably their best warriors because they all volunteered, and then that's it. Boom. So I think that going back on what I thought yesterday, I think that this it's a very strong possibility that her and maybe even the other two might be in on it. They had the whole three of them orchestrated the whole thing.
And we clearly hear Gideon say, "Thank you for bringing them all at the same place." He says
Well,
something like that
yeah,
during the episode to Bo.
yeah.
So yeah, he's kind of happy. Yeah, well, yeah, she did the tough job, of reuniting them all, and now we only have this fleet to destroy, and we'll be rid of Mandalorians for good,
Well,
I guess.
to
So.
go back to like some of the stuff, it's like she was so finicky on this, removing the helmet stuff and blah blah in the
Mhm.
past, and what we saw in the book of Boba Fett, like and all of a sudden now she's all open to this. It just felt like I don't know. Looking back on it today, like with the conversation I had, and I'm like, you know what, like when I really think about it, she had the access to the best car. She had the access to, and even what you added today, only I find further confirms it. Is, yeah, she could have been captured when she tried to fight him off, and they said,
Mhm.
"Listen, if you want to save your butt," she was a survivalist, right? Like she was
Yeah,
whole time, and probably like, "Listen, do this, and you know, we'll put you in a better spot or something. Who knows, right?" So
and maybe I'm starting to overthink a little bit now, but perhaps the reason that she wants to keep her helmet on is that she's afraid somebody will recognize her.
that will, I mean, yeah, I mean, I would
Am I
assume if she
overthinking?
takes it, nah, I mean, I assume if she takes her helmet off, they're going to use the real actress at this point, right? But like, recognize her from where, right? So
Yeah, I know. Well,
what would have been a dead
you know,
giveaway is
we're,
if the
we're
actress
only
was playing another role, right? So,
yeah, we're only 8 or 9 years removed from Return of the Jedi. Uh, I think that the events of Aftermath takes place like 5 or 6 years prior to where we are
Force
right
Awakens.
now.
Yeah,
No, no, Aftermath being the Battle of Jakku and everything,
yeah,
the real end of the Empire. So we're like 5 or 6 years after that. So I mean, the Empire is not, has not been removed for long. So if she was a member uh, of the Empire before
yeah.
being,
I
I
don't know
don't
if I
know,
go that far as that. I think it's just
yeah,
may probably just they turned her, or
hmm
who knows. If not, that if they didn't turn her, it was. I just thought it was really weird the way that, like you said, that season ended and all of a sudden she's fine. Like she made it through. Like I don't know. It was just a
yeah,
little.
she's too nice, right? She was like too extreme in the first two seasons,
But then we saw her
even
take
and in
out
the
the
book
whole
of Boba
team
Fett.
on Navarro, right? Like when she went up on the balcony and took out everyone. So it's like
Yeah,
we know she could do it, so it wasn't impossible. But I guess we'll see what she's trying to say. Maybe she was promised a deal just like Bo-Katan. Here you're gonna have Mandalore back and all this stuff. Just bring all these people. But I mean, why would she sacrifice? I guess come to think of it, why would you sacrifice all of your people? I guess to get possession of what, right? So, um,
because at some point when the Mendos are trapped between the two blast doors, he activates the interceptors and the bombers. So perhaps that's why she has not regained the fleet yet, because they want to keep her alive, and she'll witness the destruction of the Mandalorian fleet. I don't
yeah.
know. Maybe it's time to overthink stuff. We
Or maybe
have
it's the guy that was on the ship that was a spy, the guy that was
five
left
days.
there, right? Maybe
Yeah,
again we're overthinking. It's just as simple as that. But yeah, I mean, I guess that covers the episodes. And if you have any theories, put them in the comments, either in the video or in the chat. Anything else
we also need
that
to
you
keep
want
in
to add?
mind that at some point during the battle, Axe Wolves escaped through a tunnel, to get reinforcements. So it could be a traitor because
Well,
he
that's it.
was
I think Wolves
angry.
and Banks. I keep forgetting her name again, but like I think that for me, those were the ones I thought when we had the conversation yesterday. To me, it was
Yeah,
those guys because they came back and they looked like they were ruthless and even challenging. So I guess we'll wait and see. But there's an exciting episode coming up next week. I don't know if I'm going to be able to.
yeah. Well, I really enjoyed myself yesterday, and
Yeah,
I can't wait for next Wednesday. I feel sad that it's the end, but I think we're up for a treat, and I wouldn't be surprised if the episode is close to an hour in runtime. We don't have the info yet, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that would be the case.
so next week would be that episode. I guess we're going to cover it on the 20th. And then the
Yeah,
27th is one day before the release of Jedi Survivor.
yeah.
So, yeah,
But on the 27th, I guess we'll have some meat to discuss because we will have seen some, if not the entirety of season 2 of Star Wars Visions. So I assume we're going to be able to talk about it maybe without spoilers, but
yeah,
I expect the screeners to arrive early next week, so we'll be able to see those episodes. And
if not, well, we could just have a general chat or something and get some of that Lego build going or something that we've been talking
yeah,
about.
why not? Yeah, and
But
I can't wait to start playing Fallen Order.
so there's one last thing that we wanted to announce, and basically it's something that we've been working on trying to get a couple little I guess contests coming, and I guess the first one we've got, which we should be posting on the group in the next day or so. Depends when some people are allowed to use Facebook again.
Yeah,
But
don't start me with that. So
uh,
for those who didn't get to see the celebration podcast we did on Tuesday, I was put into a Facebook jail on Tuesday morning um, for sharing how Grand Admiral Tron looks in the Ahsoka
playing
series.
with fire,
It
man.
was it was a screenshot from the big screen that was in one of the stages uh, at Celebration. I was happy to provide that image to my subscribers,
Mhm.
but Disney was not happy. She flagged.
Let's hope that we
They
still get to
flagged.
see visions now, because I don't know,
Oh
man.
yeah, yeah, no, that's not, don't worry about that because it's
Yeah,
only a Facebook thing. So yeah, it should be okay. And my page has not been
removed.
removed from Facebook. Uh, it's just that my account was frozen. Uh, so my personal account, so I cannot post on my page. But Eric was able to post the announcement for
The
tonight's
episode.
podcast. So yeah,
But
the
here's
page is all right.
what we've been meaning to get to is there's hey, Darman is on. Hey, Darman, nice
Hey,
to see
what's up, bro?
you. Yeah, is Axwell is my guess for one of them. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know if you've been in the whole time, Darman, but yeah, we were talking about. I mean, could be the armor wolves. I mean, or
And
could be a
Guillaume
group of
asked that
them.
maybe the Mandalorians that decided to explore Mandalore could be the spies as they were spying on what's going
Oh,
on
very
Mandalore. So
possible. Yeah, yeah, could be.
another good theory. Yeah.
So let's get to the contest. So
Yes. Current
we've
test
we've
alert.
we've spoken about this movie in the past, and I mean I've seen it, you've seen it, and it's May the Fan Be With You. So we worked with Mark, who the director and basically the creator of this documentary,
Documentary.
and so what we're going to be giving away in the next week or so. It's going to be your typical Facebook, like, share, whatever type thing, and basically you'll have a chance to get a copy, a digital copy of this. The movie is in French, but you're going to have English subtitles. Um, so it's such a great watch. Digs into like some of the behind the scenes stuff going on with the 501st, overall collector and the just being a fan of this universe, how Star Wars just unites people. If there's anything you want to add, but there's just so much behind this and follows. Well, I don't want to say three people; it's
The-
four people in general.
yeah,
But
four people. Yeah, but those two you see on screen are two of our great friends, Malgus and Steve Goldwee, who, well, as you can visibly see,
it's
made it.
Dom's pusher.
Yeah,
Basically, yeah,
well, yeah, he has a a collectible store, so when where he sells all the bus I have behind me, I bought them from his store, and just two great human
yeah.
beings with big hearts. And don't cry, Eric. It's okay.
Yeah, I was about to sneeze. Sorry, but yeah. So this is a
And they made it to Tatooine, yeah. So
it's a $15 value. So it's because you can go on if you want to go buy the movie now. Go on. We'll see if we can put the link in the description. But we're gonna have it. You could win a digital copy again. It's visible on Vimeo, so you can watch it online. If you have Apple TV, there's a Vimeo app you can get and watch directly on Apple TV. If you have a Google Stick, Chrome Stick, whatever it is, you can
Chromecast.
Chromecast it from one of your devices and watch it on the big screen. But so yeah, so I hope you guys are excited, and anyone who hasn't seen this, whether you're French, English, whatever, it's a good watch. So we'll work out the details and what you need to do in the next day or so. But you'll see this at the latest this weekend on how to participate, and maybe we can work on having the winner announced on the next show to try to fill in some of the
And to wrap up, yeah, the Mandalorian season,
yeah.
so
So, and we also have another one that will be probably the week after another contest, which will be a little bit of a spoiler. It'll be related to Jedi Fallen Order slash Survivors. So
mhm.
yeah, so I hope you guys are excited for that. I'm definitely excited, and it's the first giveaway that I'm taking a part of. I don't know about Dom if you've done some in the past or anything like that, but it's fun that we're getting
No,
people that are collaborating with us
yeah,
to give out these great things, right?
yeah. Obviously, I did a one or two contests before where I was giving away some kyber crystals for my subscribers when I reached certain milestones. When I reached the 500 subscribers and the 1,000 subscribers, but when I reach maybe 2,000, I'm obviously gonna try to do something even more special or bigger. It's just a matter that I still don't make any money from the channel. It hasn't been yet monetized because I don't have enough viewing hours. So and even when I have enough, I mean, my videos only get like 100 views, so it takes like several thousand views to make it, very rewarding on a financial aspect. So
You have fun. Well,
uh,
that's the important part, right? You're having fun, and
yeah, I'm having
we're
fun.
having
I'm
fun.
sharing
So
my knowledge and my passion for the Star Wars universe, and you know all the items I review on Fridays are items picked from my own collection. So it's not something that has been given to me or by a company. There's no sponsorship.
and for
I
anyone who obviously who might not know or might not have seen your 360 of your room, like what you see behind Dom there is but just a part of what's in that room.
Mhm.
If you could spin the camera around, there's a lot more, and there's more in another room as well. So,
Yeah.
but it's a
So,
nice little museum, yeah, and a good place to go see a lot of the parts. I remember when I went there, it made me just going there cost me a little bit more at Galaxy's Edge than I probably should have because I was like, oh yeah, I saw this part. And that bowl, I almost bought it, the R2 head, but I
the
didn't
answer,
do
yeah.
it. So but so I want to go before we end this. I want to know what did you think without your script? Because you did pretty good without it.
Yeah, yeah, I survived, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah, I made it. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
perhaps we can ask the ones who watch the show what they thought. Should I continue to lose like an entire afternoon writing a script, or can I turn my attentions to
It was good. There was
something
nothing. There was
else?
nothing for you to read. The only thing is like some of the words, and you knew the names, and I think had you not written the script, you might have forgotten
Yeah,
some of this
perhaps
stuff,
I would have
right?
forgot. Yeah, so I should just write some names or some
Yeah.
species or some
But I think
ship
we kind of
models.
spoken about that in the past, having just rather than some kind of guidance or script, have just like the key names to remember. But again, what's going to happen is you're going to write them and you'll remember them, right?
Yeah.
So that's basically how it works. But it's there. It's good. Makes
Well,
me ask
basically,
questions,
I,
right?
I
So,
technically I don't write them because uh,
oh yeah,
it's my assistant, who types them. But just to to say it, to aloud and to watch it written on. Well, thanks, Guillaume. Yeah, I appreciate it, and uh, and James too. So yeah, all right. Thanks for your
it's
support,
so
guys.
funny. It's funny because I told my wife before, and I'm like, I'm about to surprise Dom. She's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, he's got like about a 3-page script, and I'm like, and I'm removing it from the screen right before, and like I'm telling you, I thought, and I think it's like Yom said, it was,
And I've
uh,
stopped printing them for about like 3 or 4 weeks now. So
yeah, there you go. So
y-
I thought it was like you said, it was more natural. It felt more like
I
our
almost
conversations were a
outsmarted
bit
you
more
because
organic.
yeah, yeah, perhaps yeah. So yeah,
It's
you're
good.
right, I guess.
I got a good laugh
Uh,
out of it. So
I think the exercise. So maybe I should just spend like an hour just writing
the
main
names and
characters'
species
names
and things like
and
that. Yeah.
species, planets, and stuff
Don't
like
don't give
that.
away
Just
our secrets or your secrets. I
yeah.
don't have to remember anything because I rely on you to tell. Like I get to play the role of the I guess the more casual fan that's like doesn't, and I don't remember when you talk about the
Hmm.
stuff like the Clone Wars and like all that stuff, and like I'm rewatching it now to kind of like I guess make it more fresh in my head. I'm gonna want to watch Rebels before Ahsoka comes out. But yeah, I think it's fun this way. Like I get to ask those questions that maybe the casual fan wouldn't know, and that you have that lore and that knowledge that's behind you, right? So
Well, that lore is still in me because when I see the episode, I was like, okay, I remember this, but what was the actual guy's name? For example, the monk calamari at the beginning, King Lichar. I had to.
there's no way I would
I
remember.
remember the character, but to be honest, Lichar was,
You
I
write this
remember
stuff
the
on
name.
the script, and I'm like, I have a hard time even reading it. There's this something with me, even when I read the book, sometimes I'm just like, Matt, like, and it bugs me because I'm like, I'm reading the book and I'm saying it a certain way in my head. I go, am I even saying this right? Like,
Yeah,
but yeah, you had
and
so
Guillaume has a good point too. He says, yeah, it will be more fun for you and less work too. So,
yeah, with all your
yeah,
videos and all
perhaps,
your stuff you do, it's one thing less for you to worry about, and you're one thing less for your producer to worry about. So it's
yeah, more focus on the reviews and more time. So,
and it's like you
because
said,
this week
it's more casual
I wasn't able to complete the full review this week. So,
because your script
I
was too long. So,
yeah, well, I
for
put
this,
like uh maybe like 1.5 hour less on my script. I would have completed my English text for my review, and I would have been able to film tomorrow. But tomorrow I cannot film because now I have to do the English version
so
of the review. So
so I'm gonna out you right now. I'm not gonna show it, but okay, it was two
show it. I'm
episodes.
not ashamed of it.
No,
Yeah, you
I
can
can't. I
show it
can't.
if you want.
It's probably too much trouble for me to try to get it up there.
Okay.
But for it's 6 pages, and there's a lot of text, and that's when I find that I find we get lost in it, and but this was like you had a lot to say. And I remember when you watched episode 22, you're like, I have to vent or something. I forget what you said. You're like you
Yeah,
weren't too
yeah,
happy. You no, you said, what is this? Is it a late April Fool's joke or something? Is that what you said?
yeah.
Something on those lines, like after watching.
Exactly.
But yeah. So anyway, I think it was good. I think that it helped us get through the first episode, and the second one now we're going a little bit long, but next week I think we should be all right. But on
Oh,
that,
and by the
let's.
way, next week we're gonna have a special guest. If you like the thumbnails I have for the podcast, it's Marie Claude who does all the artwork. And well, since we are approaching the end, and we thought that a feminine point of view could be interesting to add to our little discussion. So she'll be joining us for the finale. She's a huge Mandalorian fan, and there were some nights that she stayed up until 3 a.m. just to watch the episode. So
Yeah,
Remember,
he give us these little again every week. She's the one that provides these great looking thumbnails, and
yeah,
she is part of the team. So yeah,
she
glad
works in the
I'm gonna
background, but
meet
yeah,
her. Yeah, I'm gonna get to meet her for the first time myself. I just added her on Facebook. I've seen some conversations, but I can't wait to have her and have another, like you said, another point of view added to our theories, and see what theories we have if what's confirmed. So
yeah. And by the way, Guillaume is always helping me with my thumbnails for my reviews. So I got help from all sides. I have good friends who have their great values and don't shy away to pinch in when they can help me. Sometimes I have a new object that I'm reviewing, and I'm like, Guillaume, you're a graphic designer. I need your help. Is my color palette all right? Should I change something? And he always pinches in and gives me his thoughts. And sometimes he cuts like little picture. He removes backgrounds from images. Yeah,
well, it's funny that you say, because I mean, like even I mean, I joined this,
mhm.
and I had no knowledge at all about streaming or producing any of this kind of stuff, and I've learned it. I wish I had more time to try to develop it a little bit more, but because of this, like my brother and I used to record ourselves on 8-track cassettes when we were younger, like we were pretending to be
Okay.
radio
Wow.
hosts, and we're actually starting a discussion about doing a project together, not Star Wars related, but so like
Okay.
because of that, maybe we'll have fun, and it's let me be. I mean, I haven't watched any of the first episodes that we did, because I hate to watch myself anyway. But like, I feel like I'm a little bit more loose, a little bit more casual in the way I talk now. So hopefully, it's set me up for another adventure as well. So um,
And there's one last thing I have to say before we say goodnight is that yesterday was Eric's birthday. So
ah,
on my behalf and on behalf of everybody who likes you and enjoy your company, my friend, I wish you the happy. I hope you had the happiest birthday. I'm sure you'll be
I had
celebrating
electricity, so it
perhaps
was
even
good.
more this weekend. So,
Yeah,
uh, yeah, I
thank you
hope you
very
had a nice
much.
day and yeah, a pretty good weekend. Also, I'll try not to make you work too hard this weekend and give
Okay.
you a break. But you have those voices to record.
Yeah, I do. I do. I do. It's not gonna be long. We spoke about it. All
Yeah.
right.
So thank you everybody for watching. We can't wait to talk about the Mandalorian season finale with you guys next week. We hope you'll be joining us. And until then, may the force be with you always. And don't miss tomorrow's review because it's going to be the Obi-Wan Kenobi lightsaber battle. It's going to be the legacy version versus the Force FX version. So the battle will be pretty tight, and there's going to be some categories, and we're going to give up some points for each saber according to those criteria. So yeah, it's going to be a pretty hard fought battle, but I can already tell you that there is one coming up on top at the end of the review. So check this out. As I was saying, I hope you guys had a great time with us tonight, and may the force be with you always.
remember, the Force will be with you, always.